This is just a simple tutorial on the circular flow of income. You can tell it's circular because the letters are going around in circles. It's a bit of a hint for you. The idea here is that money just goes around and around in an economy, right? There's no new money, it's just old money that's going around. So when you spend money on a good, it becomes an income for someone else, right? So you're spending someone else's income. You pay money, you get a kebab, you end up with no money, kebab guy ends up rich, right? When you save money in a bank, it's spent, it's invested by businesses, right? So they buy new equipment, whatever, new computers. When you pay money in taxes even, it's spent by the government, right? So even that money goes around. And finally, even though people spend money on imported goods, so the money goes overseas, we make money by exporting goods, right? So we're actually making that money back. So since the world's so complicated, economists use simple models to explain what goes on in real life, right? Simple model, easy to understand. So since the economy is made up of sectors, we actually have 5 sectors there. And you can see all the different colours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not easy though, so what we're going to do, we're only going to start with 2 sectors, really groups in the economy, 2 parts of our economy. And as always, we start with a whole bunch of ridiculous assumptions. You have to remember that these are just assumptions. You have to know what these are, otherwise you'll look stupid because you'll think that the model's real. And it's not, it's just a model, right? We start by assuming that there's only 2 sectors in the economy. There's only households, there's only businesses, right? There's no banks, there's no government, there's no imports, there's no exports, right? It's what's called a closed economy. Yeah. And we also assume that everyone who receives money spends every cent of it. That's all they do. So we've got households on the left, businesses on the right, we call them firms. Households sell their labour for income we call Y, and after they've got that income, they spend it on consumption goods, phones and stuff like that. The role of the household sector is 1, to sell their labour for an income, and 2, to take that income that they get and spend it, right? And they spend it on consumption goods, yeah, like even iPods, durable goods, even food, all that sort of stuff. And they spend every single cent, right? The amount of consumption is equal to the amount of goods and services that the businesses produce, right? The role of the firm sector is first to buy resources. So they get labour. They pay for the resources by giving those labourers income. Then they use those resources to make goods and services and sell the final products, right, back to the households. Not the same ones, to different ones, but the household sector. So all we need to do now is get some very simple maths, right? Because every cent that people earn is spent. The amount of consumption is equal to the amount of output, the amount of goods and services. And also the amount of income is equal to consumption, because all people do is consume. All they do is buy stuff. Yeah. Therefore, the amount of income is equal to the amount of output. Every cent is spent on buying the output of firms, right? And it's not reality, yeah, because people do other things with their money. So we bring in the financial sector, right, which is banks basically, and we put our savings in the bank, and firms take our savings out of the bank and they invest it. Yeah. So now households aren't spending every cent of their money. They're actually saving a part of their income, a percentage. And businesses can now borrow money for new equipment. They're investing. Yeah, it's not investing in shares, things like that. Investing in equipment, it's businesses. On the left side, we're going to call these leakages. We're going to call savings a leakage because the money is not being spent. It leaks out of that perfect circular flow we had. On the other side, we've got injections because money is actually being put back into the circular flow again, right? So leakages, left, injections, right. Yeah. Because every bit of income has to be spent or saved, right? The mathematical formula is that income is equal to consumption spending or saving. You can't do anything else with your money, right? All you can do is consume or save. On the injection side, the amount of output that firms make, the goods and services, is equal to the amount that people spend plus the amount of investment. If you just look down, you see the yellow circles now. Y equals O. Yeah, we already know that. Yeah. So S has to equal I. The amount of savings being done by household is equal to the amount of investment that firms are doing in new capital equipment. Does it always happen? No. No, of course not. But because if people are saving more than businesses are investing, then money's leaking out, like for good, out of the circular flow. And the economy will shrink. But we don't really have to worry about that yet. For now, just remember S equals I. Let's bring in the government sector. We pay taxes, and the government spends them, right? They spend them on all sorts of things. In a mixed economy, the role of the government is to collect taxes and then spend them on collective wants. So things like education, public transport, all that. But now the maths needs its own page. The amount of income is equal to the leakages. So we're really looking at C plus S plus T. Now if you just look down the columns again, Y obviously equals O. C equals C. We already found out that S equals I. So, ta-da, T is going to equal G. Yeah. The amount of tax that the government collects is the amount that they're going to spend. Right? In reality, does the government always spend the exact same amount it receives? No, of course not. But again, we'll get to that. One more sector, right? It has to do with imports and exports. The international sector, right? So we spend money on imports, right? But we also get money from exports. So firms sell these exports overseas and they get money. So that's money coming into the country. Yeah, goods going out, money coming in. So on the left side you've got leakages, right side you've got injections. So the money just goes around and around. But what if we want to grow our economy? What if we don't want the leakages to equal injections, the money just to go round and round? What if we want more money? We'd have to increase the injections. We'd have to increase investment spending, we have to increase government spending, or we have to increase the amount of exports we sell overseas. Or we can decrease things like savings, reduce taxation, or buy less imports. Because if the amount of leakages is more than the amount of injections, we're going to lose money. The circle's going to get smaller. But if the opposite is true, then the flow of income is going to rise. Yeah, and that's really what we want. Yeah. So, just so you know, Australia's total circular flow of income is that number. That's over $1 trillion. Yeah, it's a lot of zeros. So why the amount of income in Australia is 1 trillion? Y equals $1 trillion. So you can see why economists have to be really, really careful about what they say and what they do, the decisions that they make. Because $1 trillion is a lot of money. Furthermore, our injections last year were 4.3% larger than our leakages. So our level of economic growth was 4.3%. Yeah. So over the year, we added 4.3% to our circular flow. With all that extra income, workers are asking for more money. Households are consuming more. Firms are charging more because everyone's got more money. And it leads to this. It leads to inflation. It's currently at 3%. Could be rising. Right? So the government and the Reserve Bank, they want to reduce the injections. They want to spend less, encourage less investment through higher interest rates. So what you're going to see this year, you're going to see high interest rates and a big budget surplus. The government is going to save money. They don't want more spending.